So just to get started, I do want to welcome you back to this session called Increase Our Ability to Adapt. This session has to do with being flexible and innovative, fostering more diverse perspectives in decision-making, building continuity, streamlining processes, and taking risks. So all of us have gotten pretty good at being flexible this year, haven't we? So we're going to give you some more ideas on how to do that even better. So with that, I am going to turn this over to our fantastic facilitators for this session, Natalie Newville, John Higdon, and Mark Horner. Take it away, guys.
Wonderful. Thank you, Joan. As Joan said, my name is Natalie Newville. I'm with District 6080. So in order for a club to survive during the COVID-19 pandemic, Rotary encouraged clubs to be flexible and adaptable. Let's do a poll to see how your club's doing. The polls are anonymous, so no one will see your choice. So please make an honest assessment. So the choices are, my club is thriving and gaining new members, maintaining our membership, losing members, or not even meeting. So it looks like right now, about 20% of you are thriving and gaining new members, 55% is maintaining your membership, 25% is losing members, but nobody is not even meeting. So thank you so much for participating in that. In the chat box, no, I'm sorry. Actually, what I'm going to have you guys do is raise your hand and I'll call on you to make some suggestions on what you would have done or what you believe would work for your club to survive and thrive during these most challenging times. So once you raise your hand, I'll call on you. And then those of you might want to take some notes if you hear an idea you have not thought of to help your club. So Sheila, it looks like you've raised your hand.
I think the thing that we did most is right off the bat, we did blended. So I don't know, our area, we have a blended group. A lot of people are very strong. We did not meet for 2 periods of like 3 weeks or a few weeks. But other than that, we mainly did had a place to go if there were those people that wanted. So I think that's what really made us be able to thrive right now.
Great, thank you so much.
We did meet for about three months, and then when we started, we went to 2 meetings a month, but we had to travel 6 miles to find a place where we could keep social distancing. So that has kept our attendance down because people just couldn't get away at noon from their businesses in Odessa. But the positive part is that we went to Bait City Barbecue and everyone that can come loves it. But we're coming back to town actually starting the first week in April. We found a church basement that will allow us to meet. So
great. Thank you, Ruth. Okay, what about you, Stephen?
We did just like I think it was Sheila that mentioned right off the bat, there was about 2 weeks or so that we didn't meet at all, but then our club president immediately went into and started initiating Zoom meetings, and it was real thin at first because everybody was in such fluctuation at the time, but a few members started trickling in little at a time, and one of our hindrances was the local restaurant because of the pandemic shut down as well, so we really didn't have a place to meet. But then everything kind of came online. But I think that initiated our growth now as we stayed in contact with all the members with emails and started Zoom meetings initially. And now we're meeting full tilt back at the restaurant and in person. And I think it's really helped us to really get over the hump.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stephen. Brian? Brian Carter.
Sorry, I had trouble getting it unmuted there. We didn't meet for a period of about 2 months. I think it was about 8 weeks total. We tried to stay in communication with email, just kind of weekly checking in, make sure everybody was safe and healthy. If there's any needs that any members needed met, of course, during the great pandemic of toilet paper too, we were sharing items and stuff that we needed to with some of the members that weren't able to get out. But then I would say about 2 months into it, we started meeting in very small groups, the ones that we're very comfortable with meeting. Was able to social distance, and I had opted to get it started on Zoom. It was kind of like the others at first. It wasn't great. And then we got to where I think Zoom become more easy for people to do from their desk than trying to actually get to a meeting. So we actually had to kind of stop doing the Zoom and say, hey, we're going to start meeting back in person to get people back at the meetings. And we actually have a neighboring club that has a couple participants that come over every couple of weeks because they have not resumed either. But I don't know, I'd say that we're back in full tilt in person. We still offer it online if somebody can't make it, just as a courtesy, but it's obviously not the preferred.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Lori.
Hi. Our club, Hollister, Missouri, we have a fairly small group, about 20. We didn't miss any meetings. We immediately transitioned over to Zoom. And then our community was one of the few that didn't put a mask mandate in place. But our original meeting location was no longer available. So we found an alternate meeting location, and as soon, I think we did about 2 months of Zoom meetings, and then the majority of our membership decided they wanted to start meeting in person. But as soon as we came back in person, we did offer a hybrid option because we have some folks with some medical conditions that just wasn't feasible for them to come in person, but we wanted to keep them engaged. So we switched to a hybrid model because we had the tech available at our new meeting location to do that. So we've actually seen a pretty significant growth. Some folks had to transition careers and things like that. So we found that we were making contact outside of our normal spheres of influence and started getting some guests in.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you guys for all of your innovative ways that can be developed to stay together in Rotary. So sometimes it takes just one little change to make your club more flexible and appealing to a wider number of people and to keep your current club members engaged. You will be the president of your club. And as a leader, having a vision that makes your club even better is one thing you can choose to do. Of course, suggesting your idea to your board and gaining support would be part of what you do as the leader. So let's dream. You are automatically going to a breakout room where you're going to look at a list of flexibility ideas in the handout called Club Flexibility Worksheet. So get that handout now or download it in the chat box where our tech host has put it for you. As a team, you will choose one idea that you think would make a club more flexible and adaptable. Then, once you choose that one change, you are going to create a persuasive speech to present to your board that reflects your new flexible idea. Remember that a persuasive speech is about 3 sentences to provide the idea, the benefits, and the call to action. Please choose someone to read your 3-sentence speech when you return to the main room. You will have 12 minutes to choose one change and develop your speech. Are there any questions?
Okay, everyone out in live stream land, this 4th session, we have 3 activities that were created to lead the PEs through the steps of change. So the first step in change is to have them create an idea and to be able to state that idea clearly, to show the benefits of the idea, and then actually have a call to action. And these elements will help them to make a persuasive speech so that they can persuade, of course, their board or their club to take that idea and make it a reality. The second thing we're going to do when we send them again to the breakout rooms is the second step of change. And that's to show how important collaborative commitment is to the engagement of the club. When members have a say in what projects or socials or fundraisers are done by the club, then they're more likely to get involved with whatever is going on. So that's the second breakout. And then at the end, it's not a breakout, but what we're going to have in the third step of change is actually to do what the idea that Shekhar Mehta has about change leaders being, able to take action. And he talked about the presidents elect and the district governors elect being change makers. So they can, we're going to ask them to make a plan to be a change leader. So for this first breakout, those of you that are here in the main room, I'd like to ask you this question. What is one idea for your club to be more flexible, and how would you show the club the benefits of that one idea that you have? Natalie.
Yes. I think one of the things about being more flexible, obviously, I think the low hanging fruit right now to talk about is virtual meetings. Having this option where you can meet in person and you can meet online. That way people can kind of meet you where you are. I think one thing that's important to remember with that is that once this pandemic is behind us, not to go backwards, because even if it's not COVID that's keeping people away from being able to be in person, maybe they travel a lot. There's all kinds of reasons why people can't always meet in person. We've actually had a lot of educators express interest to us about joining now because they can easily join virtually long term, and a lot of them are like, I'm going to retire in a couple of years, then I'd be able to come in person, but I don't want to wait to join until I retire. So making sure that we keep that flexibility a little bit longer with the hybrid option.
Okay, thanks. Someone else.
Lower dues.
Okay, and how would you convince the benefits of that?
Well, right now, our due structure in our club was, meant to subsidize those who ate and those who didn't want to eat, and try to get that cost in line. And that's been a battle for Crestwood for 20 years. So now it's like, if you eat, you pay. If you don't show up, or if you come virtually, you just pay your annual dues. So our dues would potentially be cut from like 370 down to like 150, 160. So that's more attractive to the 20 somethings who just came out of college who want to get involved, but $400 is a lot of money, and a commitment to $15 for lunch every week.
Okay, thank you. Jackie.
Thank you. This kind of dovetails off of what Natalie was talking about virtual meetings. There's also the element of hybrid meetings, and it's kind of like having two separate meetings. There's the meeting that's live, and then there's the meeting that's online. And what I found in my own club is that there's not enough engagement of the people that are online. And so, like they feel left out. And so I think maybe there's some way that we could help clubs look at ways that they can interact and involve clubs with that hybrid model.
Okay. And how would you talk your club into that?
Well, I would use just the my person. This is how I feel when I'm online, and like they're doing happy dollars and I'm not able to give a happy dollar. And there are ways that you can do happy dollars. It could be given to the bill, and we can, engage the people online. Or when there's announcements, it's like this, let's make sure that we're asking the people online for announcements or questions or just introductions. It's like there's introductions of guests. Let's introduce who's online today.
So being able to let them know that even the folks on the Zoom, when you have a hybrid meeting, will have a potential for the interactions that you actually do in person. Okay,
yeah, and that they really do want that engagement, that involvement.
Okay, perfect. Julie?
I'll just add a couple of thoughts to that. For many years, I was in a job where it was really hard to leave on Friday at noon. And so it would have been great to have been able to connect virtually and see the meetings, hear the announcements, like you said, because invariably I get that call at 5 till 12 on Friday, and don't finish it till 10 after. So, and nowadays I could log right on in and watch the meeting. And also I would say that your speakers are kind of, the limit is unlimited now, because you can get speakers from anywhere, anytime, and any place. And yesterday my club had a speaker from Missouri Wine. She was the chair of like wine tourism in Missouri. And so she came to us virtually, and it was really interesting program. And she told us all kinds of good wines that we should run out and buy that are made right here in Missouri. So you can really get some fabulous programs, because typically I live in a small town. You have the same programs every year. The football coach has to come to one meeting and the basketball to another. And they're sometimes not your best speakers, where you hear the same thing every year. So this can create a lot of new opportunities.
Definitely. Natalie, are you writing this down?
Yes.
Okay, what other ideas are there, and how would you convince your club that that idea is a good one?
One thing to kind of follow up what Jackie was saying on hybrid meetings going forward, it's going to take a new type of expertise, because that is the most challenging type of meeting you can have. An all virtual meeting is a piece of cake from the tech side of it compared to a hybrid meeting. And it then even becomes a bigger challenge when you try and get engagement from. So if you're looking to recruit new types of members, go after us IT guys. Because it's going to be a huge club need going forward. If anybody wants to make a note of it, I am doing a session for my PEs on how to conduct a hybrid meeting on April 7th, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Oh, would love to get that info to District 6060, David, if we can piggyback on that. So
also, I'll send it out to my fellow DGEs. And an interesting note about that, I'm using our partnership with Toastmasters to do that, because I saw this at a Toastmasters presentation on how to do a hybrid Toastmasters club meeting. And I went to those people and say, hey, can you do this for me for a Rotary meeting? And they were more than happy to share it.
Perfect. Eric, you said you would like to speak.
So to piggyback on what John was talking about earlier on club flexibility, in particular as it comes to billing members who may not attend a lunch meeting, I think one challenge with that is clubs often get entrenched upon relying on people who don't attend lunches but are billed for those meals to make their budgets. And so it's a bigger picture issue of the vision for how the club raises funds that needs to be something that you look at with a longer time horizon to help bring everyone along who may be interested in the idea of flexibility, but they don't want to sacrifice all the great community service projects or Rotary Foundation giving that takes place. So I think that it's a systemic issue in some clubs because of the financial aspect of it.
Perfect. Joan, you had your hand up. Did you have something to say?
I wanted to add something, just a note of interest. The club I belong to in Jefferson City, the Evening Rotary. I mean, it's not a brand new club, but it's the newer one in Jefferson City, and we haven't been around all that long. So it seems like those clubs are more flexible, the ones that haven't been around for as long. And so I was struggling trying to think of something, but our club is so open to new ideas. And I mean, it just seems like we do a lot of things that is, very innovative, and we don't always meet there at that location. We might go to someone's house or have a New Year's Eve party or just something. So I think sometimes if you have a newer club, you run into as many challenges and
you have more expansion for flexibility. Julie, do you have one last comment? Because we have just under 1 minute.
One last thought, and that is we have found at Show Me Rotary that we need more tech people, and that's what David said, recruit people that are tech in your clubs. And the Kansas City International Club just recruited a lady to do their website and a lot of their tech things. And they gave her basically a membership at a reduced price so that she could join the club. And in return, she does all their technology things for them.
Perfect. Okay, back over to you, Natalie.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. So now we want to hear some of your speeches. So please raise your hand in the reaction function if you are the reporter. I will call on you, and then we would like you to share your 3-sentence persuasive speech. Remember to keep it short so more people will have time to share ideas. So let's see, let's start with Lori.
Our group was talking about a corporate membership, and our 3 sentences: do you have a busy service-minded company? We have the right kind of membership for you. Service above self, reimagined.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, so Lisa.
Okay, our group focused on changing the meeting time from 5:45 to 5. And so the reason we want folks to consider this is that changing it from 5:45 to 5 would mean that you would have your meeting right after work, and you'd still get home in time to have dinner with your families. It would accommodate social activities because it's right there at happy hour. And so we think that is something that might be worth considering. But before we do that, is in terms of a call to action, we would suggest that we poll all of our members to see if that's something that the vast majority of people would want to do before we do something like that.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And I forgot to tell everyone, as we kind of go through and do these speeches, if you want to type yes or no in the chat box, if that speech would inspire you as a board member to try the new flexible idea. So kind of as we go through these, you guys can do that. So let's move on to Dustin.
So we got a little sidetracked and ran out of time, so the speech isn't so refined, but ours is similar to Lisa's. We were all from, most of us were from noon clubs, and a lot of our struggles were around dues and the cost of meals. And so our suggestion is to move to a happy hour meeting. The impact and benefit that we would not only significantly reduce the cost of membership for our club members, we would also open up membership opportunity to other professionals in the community that can't get away at noontime. And we didn't really develop the call to action yet, but I guess similar to Lisa's, it would be to kind of poll the club and get buy-in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dustin. Okay, how about Bruce?
Okay, we talked about after one of our members brought up that they had lost some members because of their inability, because of various reasons, especially during the pandemic, to pay their dues. And so we talked about creating, and we sort of went off track here a little bit, creating a membership assistance program, something like share leave programs in a lot of businesses and government agencies. So our pervasive speech would be to the membership of our clubs that some members may face obstacles in maintaining membership. Shall we consider a share the cost option in order to create a membership assistance program?
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Bruce, I think your hand is up.
We decided to convince to change to a permanent virtual hybrid format, arguing that the hybrid format improves participation and allows for greater range of attendance. It improves the variety of weekly programming, allowing unique speakers from that would not be in our area, and could reduce membership costs by removing additional fees to allow for a larger range of attendance.
Okay, thank you. Kent?
Okay, well, I think we're gonna go with the 180 direction there. Our gonna develop a club motto here, and it's basically let's meet face to face. Let's meet for a happy or social hour kind of thing. And then most importantly, let's get back to just service and fellowship. Just, of course, COVID has kind of thrown a wrench into that for the last year, and be good to get back to the good old days, as they say.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, I think we have time for 2 more. So Brian.
Our group discussed retention or retainment of members is as important as recruitment. With that being said, and the elderly population and their service and experience is obviously invaluable to any Rotary club. So we was discussing senior type discounts where the club would pick up the tab for any district and international dues up to 75%. That way they still had a 25% buy-in plus any meals for the meetings that they did attend. They're reducing the cost for them significantly to keep them involved. So we really didn't have an opportunity to come up with a 3-sentence polished speech, but it was leaning towards retention is important as in recruitment, experience is invaluable, and then just kind of leading from there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, last one, Andy.
Oh, so yeah, so some of the concerns we have with changing the meal plan around is, and Tim brought this up, was that, and I agree, is that if you change a culture, you can really change a club. And so we wanted to really focus on, utilizing the technology and moving in that hybrid space. But because that's only in our little group, whatever your membership is maybe utilizing Facebook Live, getting really good at that, and being able to do a recap or maybe stream that Rotary meeting like we are on Zoom and just expand that to Facebook. And now you're touching anybody of all the friends on there. If every one of our members has 100 friends on there, maybe one person clicks on that and we can get some exposure that way of all the cool things that Rotary's done over the years, and bring some of that back and stream some of that. I don't know, just a thought.
Great, thank you so much. Thanks for all of your ideas, everyone. So let's do another poll. After listening to the flexible ways clubs can thrive, I am now ready to try one or more new flexible ideas to grow and strengthen my club, meet with the board to gain support and integrate a new idea for our club, think about it, I'm not convinced a flexible idea will help, or keep things the way they are. I do not think I can motivate my club to change. So it looks like 64% said that we would try one or more new flexible ideas. 70% said they'd meet with the board to gain support. 4% said they're going to think about it, and 3% said keep things the way they are. So thank you everyone for answering those questions. Being flexible is critical to surviving during the pandemic. Let's discuss how fostering more inclusive decision-making can help clubs adapt. John?
All right, thanks, Natalie. One objective under the priority of increasing our ability to adapt is to foster more diverse perspectives in decision-making. This means that to help your club be more cohesive, you can choose to get more people involved in making decisions about your club. One way to do that is to hold a club visioning. So what, you might ask, is a club visioning? It's a process that helps your club create ideas to make your club even better in the 4 priorities of the Rotary Action Plan we are discussing. A group of your members meet either in person or virtually, or both, to brainstorm ideas in 6 areas. Then once your club generates the ideas, a process consensus is held to help members narrow down the ideas to ones your club members want to accomplish in the following 3 years. Lastly, the club is shown how to take those ideas and develop a master plan and action plans to implement the ideas. This lends itself to continuity so that your succession plan of leaders will know that your club members want to work on and accomplish together, thereby widening your club's process of decision making. When your members have more say in what the club's goals are, they're certainly more likely to help accomplish these goals and be bolder at taking risks. Here's a video on the club visioning process.
Welcome. Congratulations on being president-elect. This past year has been a challenge for our clubs and our members. Our world has changed, and in this coming year, it will bring on new changes. How do we meet those challenges? While Rotary core values will remain the same, we need to find new ways to deliver the Rotary experience. This is past District Governor Tom Ripperda from District 6510. And joining me today is Laura Carey. She is past District Governor from 6580. Visioning is designed for all club sizes, from the largest to the smallest. It has been designed to focus on the needs of each individual club and results in a living plan. Visioning is an opportunity for clubs to plan for a successful and more effective future. It gives clubs the tools to produce a vision for success. Rotary International has suggested that clubs develop a plan for the future. So, how does visioning fit in, Laura?
Well, thank you, Tom. Instead of starting all over each year, visioning allows a club to increase their ability to adapt, expand their reach, increase their impact, and enhance their engagement. It allows clubs to have 3 necessary tools to be successful: consistency, continuity, and consensus. With these 3 tools, you have a strong communication.
Laura, can you provide us some details on putting on a visioning event?
So the event can be in person or virtual. It is important to get everyone's opinions and dreams for their club. The time commitments: in person, 1 session for 4 hours. Virtual is broken down into 2 sessions with a maximum time of 2 hours each. So Tom, what can we expect from visioning?
Clubs that have experienced visioning are energized, focused, and engaged. That makes the club very attractive to others. So, Laura, what's the next step?
This is very easy. Get the approval of your club leadership and contact your district visioning chair today to find out more about how club visioning will help your upcoming year be the best year ever.
Okay. You have a handout that describes club visioning and the district visioning chair's contact information for your district. If you would like to schedule visioning for your club, we highly recommend club visioning. There may be other ways you can get your club members to take a more active role in decision making. You'll again be sent automatically to the breakout rooms where you'll brainstorm ideas for how you would get your club to work together to create a list of ideas for service projects. What method would you use? Tell each other your ideas for how you would work with your club for more people to be involved in the decision making about your club's service projects, whether they are community service projects or international service projects. For instance, one idea would be to have your members go to Rotary Showcase on My Rotary and bring back to the club a list of ideas that have the entire club vote on. What ideas can you come up with that would help you gain more decision making with a wider group of your members? After you brainstorm ideas, pick the one idea you want to share with the rest of the presidents-elect. Select a reporter to state your idea when you return to the main room. Please keep your report to 2 or 3 sentences so more people will have a chance to share. You have 10 minutes to finish this activity. Are there any questions?
So everyone out there in live stream land, the 3rd step in change, of course, emphasizes that idea that we were talking about from Shekhar Mehta about leaders being change makers. So in the 2nd breakout group, what we're going to do is answer this question. If you were club president, what would you do to implement ways to get more members involved in decision-making of how your club chooses your projects, your socials, and/or your fundraisers? How would you set up a system to have your members help make the decisions about those? Any ideas? I know you're all going to say, we would do a club visioning, of course. Other than that, are there other ways?
There are some great surveys out there on the Rotary International website that you can get your members' thoughts and opinions. And so that's helpful to get their ideas and thoughts.
Perfect. Natalie?
I think before this year, our go-to was always to have these discussions at meetings. So if somebody didn't attend a meeting, then their voice wasn't heard or they didn't even know we were talking about it. So coming up with different ways to ask people. So maybe we talk about it at the meeting, and if there's a survey, they can fill it out in person, but we also email it out to people. So if they weren't able to be there, they can still contribute that way, or face-to-face interaction. So just not having a one-size-fits-all kind of thing, that we're kind of meeting people where they're at. We've had members who kind of fell off and quit coming to meetings, but once we did an activity that they were really interested to, they came back and became much more active. So it was a great way to kind of re-engage them.
Okay, thanks. Joan?
I think you have to really question, query people what they want. If you just stand up, excuse me, if you just stand up in front of your group and say what do you guys want to do, you may not have very many people, but if you just make it a point to say, okay, Suzanne, I know you are filled with great ideas. Let's have this whiteboard here and let's say 3 ideas. Give us 3 great ideas, and then just do almost a little mini tiny vision session, in about 10 minutes, and just get their ideas flowing right then and there. But call on people and say, I know you have great ideas and you are very creative, so give me one.
Okay, so take one of your meetings and just make it be a brainstorming idea session. Okay, yep. Great. What else? Jackie's smiling. Does that mean you have an idea, Jackie?
One thing that I don't was necessarily an idea, but a lot of our club members, are fixed in doing things the old ways because we're a long established club. But we're getting away from just writing checks to organizations that don't fit our core areas of service, like education, literacy, healthcare, maternal child health. I love to support veterans causes, but there are better places for me to support veterans causes. And to say, now that we're taking on the environment, I'm excited about that. We can do more conservation type projects. But I've always been focused on supporting our core areas of service and challenging our members to do that. And the latest club visioning process, I think, was pretty impactful for our club.
So you're all for that visioning aspect.
Jackie, oh yes, we have been to twice.
Okay, great. Jackie, did you have some ideas?
Well, I was smiling because earlier on, somebody was talking about taking a look at Rotary Showcase. And then I was thinking to myself, the newsletter, take a look at the monthly newsletter, because we have a section in there about events that are happening, but there's the other section about club service activities and fundraising. It's just a good place to find out what's happening and maybe finding some partners.
And what would you do once you look at Showcase? How would you get the rest of your members invested in the decision making?
That's a good question.
Put them on a whiteboard and say, okay, look at these and let's rank order or vote on them, or just what other ideas would you have for engaging them in decision making? Because the second step, of course, of change process is getting the collaborative commitment of your club. So involving them in that decision making is extremely important. Eric?
If your club has a committee approach to community service or any sort of club administration, really, you can bridge the gap perhaps between talking to someone one-on-one and talking or addressing your whole club either at a meeting or through an email or a survey through a committee of people who volunteer to be on the committee that could help. Perhaps where I'm going with this is restructure the community service or just general service projects of the club. And our current club president, Alan Van Zant, in a prior position was the community services chair and really radically change some of the community service projects with the input of about probably 25% of the club through this committee that was voluntary. And if people wanted to have input, they could. So it had some buy-in, but it eliminated making that something that just dominated a club meeting, I guess.
Okay. And like Julie said, surveys are really important. If you have everyone, write down, for instance, 3 socials or 3 fundraisers that they'd like to do, give them to the committee. And then the committee maybe puts a list out to all the members and they check, and then you can look at the top, 4 or 5 that you can perform throughout the year. So it's a good process. Those processes are very important for allowing people to feel that their voice matters. That's really important, to have people be able to put their voice in so that they feel valued and that they do have a voice in what the club is going to do. So all that is really, really important. What other ideas do we have?
Well, Rita, I think it's important to get new ideas that way, but I also think it's important that you kind of evaluate what you're doing, kind of like Eric said. Maybe those projects you've done for 100 years and they're not effective anymore. So you need to talk about, do we still continue those, or are they still reaching the population we want them to? And it kind of gives you a tactful way of retiring some of those that have seen better days. So you can pull in those new ideas.
Okay, a perfect example of that, what you just said, Julie, was one club had a fundraiser that was always an art auction. And when they had a change of administration, the treasurer looked at how much money that they were actually making at that fundraiser. Given how they got people to donate appetizers and people to donate wine and all that other kind of stuff, they figured out that of the $25,000 $25,000 that the auction generated, their take on that after giving it to the auction and paying for stuff was only $1,500. So they decided the next year that that wasn't really worth it, that most of that money was going to the art dealer instead of, getting back into their community. So perfect example of what you just got through saying. Look at your projects and see if they really do generate the value that you want them to. Any other examples? We have 1 minute for one quick idea left. And if not, I'm going to turn it back over to John to do the processing of our breakout.
Let's have the reporter from each group share the ideas that would help you gain more decision-making with a wider group of your members. Please raise your hand in the reaction function if you are the reporter, and I will call on you to unmute and share your ideas. Remember, please be brief. All right, Ryan.
All right. Our group kind of talked about what Dustin has come up with his club. Once a quarter, club is divided into groups to talk about service ideas or organizations that they are involved in. Each table will decide a project to present to the club, and all those ideas will be taken to the board, where one or more projects will be picked to spotlight, or even an organization to bring in to share more information.
Great. Yeah, direct club input to pick the next service project. That sounds like a great idea. Frank? Frank, you're on mute there. Are we gonna have Andy Hall go next?
We talked about a few different ideas of just how we would go about the setting it up. We talked about getting kind of an overview of topics ahead of time to the participants, talking about what's the needs in the community, how we can grow, how we can retain, what are we here for. those kind of things. And then looking at it, one of our members talked about backwards planning, maybe using that. And then finally, and importantly, is follow up later.
Absolutely. Follow up is key. And see, Frankie, you ready there now?
Got in the middle. What we talked about was reaching out to the entire club and getting ideas. What service projects would inspire them and make them want to participate, rather than say the board getting together and picking ideas. Because if if you go out to the entire club and get ideas, somebody very well could be aware of something that nobody else will, that'll be a better project for the club, that'll be a better match. And then once you got all your ideas, you vote on them, have everybody rank them. This way, the members are helping kind of drive direction more than just, here you are, we're going to do this. And the other advantage to doing the whole club like that is it really works across different size clubs. I mean, I think about my club being a small club, the idea of breaking out into groups wouldn't work. We don't have enough to make groups. So this works across various sizes of groups.
Sure. All right. Thanks, Frank, for sharing. Bruce.
We discussed using club ambassadors to visit other clubs in the surrounding areas to garner new ideas and new methodologies of doing things, and then bringing them back to feed outside sources of information.
Sure. In the St. Louis area, we have intercity meetings amongst the 20 plus municipal clubs in the St. Louis County area. So we do have some of that built in, but over in the Kansas City area, yeah, getting out to other clubs is a great way to learn about what's everyone's doing and bring back those ideas. And what I'm hearing a lot is letting the club pick the activities, the direction that we're headed, the projects we're going to work on. So democracy within the club is a big theme. So, Dan, we have time for 3 more here. Dan?
We have time for one more, and then we need to move on.
All right, Dan, so let's wrap, if you don't mind wrapping this up with yours, please.
Not at all. I'm smiling because I think we took a bit of a segue in ours, but what we discussed was the importance of the club developing traditions that kind of generate excitement around them, and developing tradition, using your club to kind of expand your reach, and with your activities, try to use the youth, which will kind of generally drive change within your club, and bring new ideas to it. And then the other thing, as far as new ideas, make sure that everybody in the club is always reminded that that they need to make requests just directly to the board, and that the board is open for direct requests.
Sure. An open door policy for the board is a great idea, and balancing tradition and change, can be difficult, but it can be done, and it can be done effectively in long-standing clubs. So as long as everyone has an open mind. So with that, adapting has to do with change. Change is difficult for some people. However, the only permanent thing is change. In order to thrive during the pandemic, change is our friend. You as a leader can help your club change. Let's talk about how to be a change leader with Mark Horner.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate that. My name is Mark Horner, as John just said. I'm with the Kansas City, Missouri Rotary Club in downtown Kansas City. Now, we're going to start today by having a poll in this session where we're going to assess our feelings about change, what you know about yourself, and change using the following scale. Choose just one, please. I do not adapt to change easily. If I'm motivated, I adapt to new ideas. Or number 3, change is exciting. So we've got a lot of change agents here. Only 6% say I do not adapt to change easily. 45% if I'm motivated, I adopt new ideas, and 49% with change is exciting. That's going to help you through the rest of this session. Now, I'd like to ask everybody a question. And if you'd like to answer, please raise your hand in the reaction function. I'll call on you to unmute and answer the question at that time. So here's the question. What makes it important for you to know how you adapt to change? Let's see some volunteers in there. Raise your hand in the reaction or participant function.
Mark, can you repeat the question?
It is, why is it important, okay, that you know how you adapt to change? Hey, Glenn, how about you? Unmute and give us an answer to that.
For me, one of the things, I am an early adopter to things, and I change very easily. Some in our club do not change so well. So when I understand that I want change now and they may not, I have to be a little more patient and bring them along, or let it be their idea to get it done. So if you understand yourself and where you fall in that change spectrum, you'll get more accomplished.
Outstanding. Lindsay Wickler, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think the fact that I view change as an opportunity, I find change exciting. And I think as the new leader of my club this coming year, leading by example and showing that openness to change will hopefully inspire others to follow bravely in that same direction.
Fabulous. Hey, David Adams from Chillicothe.
Yeah, I think at times I realize that I may like change faster than others. And so setting a clear vision of where we want to begin and where we want to end is important to help bring others along that may not want to change as quickly or as fast as I do.
Outstanding responses. I know I've run into more than one brick wall because I find change very easy. You first need to know how you react to change so that you can develop empathy for others who find it harder to change. Thank you. Now, we've inadvertently taken you through Lewin's change model. We first had you create a vision and create a persuasive speech to get your ideas across, which is the first stage in the model called unfreezing. Then we had you develop ways to get collaborative commitment, which is the second stage called transitioning. The final stage is refreezing, which means to develop a new norm by making an active plan and adapting when necessary. So right now, let's have each one of you develop an action plan to be a change leader. Now you have a handout called My Action Plan for Change Leadership. You also have one that's called Lewin's Change Model, which will refresh your memory on the stages of change. Now those two PDFs, if you don't have them printed out already, will be placed in the chat room by our tech host. So they'll be available there. Now, I'm going to ask that we all take about 3 minutes while everyone is quiet and still in the main session to fill out your action plan for change. Now, does anyone have any questions prior to that? Okay, hearing none, let's start and take 3 minutes to fill out your worksheet.
Brian, could we also have the change model in the chat box too, please?
It's already been placed in there.
I don't see it in mine.
Okay.
I have my action plan, but not the actual model.
Okay, I'll reshare.
Okay, we've got about one more minute.
Hey, Glenn,
Yes.
what district are you in?
6040.
Okay, I couldn't,
Okay, we're at the end of our 3 minutes, so let's have a few of you share those action plans. Now, if you want to share yours, please raise your hand in the reaction or the participant function, and I'll call on you to unmute and share your action plan. And 6040 people, remember, if you don't put your hands up, I know who you are. Hey, Dustin, first one from 6040. Good to see that. How about unmuting yourself and give us your plan?
Yeah, so my action plan, I'll form a committee focused on developing a robust service strategy for our club. The club will be provided opportunities to bring input each quarter to grow the list. I will monitor progress through scheduling of projects and total participation numbers. The goal will be to offer 12 service opportunities that are outwardly focused throughout the year and to have each member of the club participate in at least 3.
Outstanding. Now, Lori Hayes from Hollister.
Sorry, I had to represent for 6080. I wasn't going to raise my hand throughout the 6040. So my plan is to discuss a service-only membership with my board of directors as an additional product to present to previous members who have dropped and to potential members that do not fit well into the traditional lunchtime Rotary model.
Very nice. I like that one. And Ruth Beamer from 6040. Oh, I think we lost Ruth. Tony.
She needs to unmute.
Ruth, you need to unmute.
Got it. I can't, 2 things at once. My action plan is I will hold an initial session for with all members to create 3 priority needs for change and revisit the action steps and progress as an agenda item at each meeting thereafter.
Thank you, Ruth. And let's finish up with one more. Tony Andreessen from Club 13.
Mine is to become a more diverse and inclusive club by reaching out to underrepresented groups in the community, and doing that by developing our membership committee to create the resources to help people develop the messaging necessary to seek out and attract those new members, both individual and organizational members, and then to set a goal on the number of those new types of memberships.
Okay.
Mark, we cannot hear you. Okay, it looks like Mark has not been able. Natalie, you want to go on and thank you for those plans, and Natalie's going to take you for the action steps now.
Perfect. Okay, so during this session, we have focused on using flexible ideas, creating ways for collaborative decision-making, and leading change. In the chat box, let everyone know what one action you will take to increase the ability of your club to adapt. So we'll do that real quick. If you just want to type it in.
Can you repeat that question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Let everyone know what one action you will take to increase the ability of your club to adapt. So Lori said she'll act as a coach as well as a leader. Barbara said she'll listen first, then adjust as necessary. Oh, it's coming in fast now. Brian said meeting with the board as needed, not strictly once a year, which is what they're currently doing. M. Gallagher said personal engagement. April said improve my communication skills. Kim wants to provide opportunities for each member to share ideas. Chris is to consider membership options. So those are all really great ideas. Thank you everyone for sharing. I definitely want to remind you before we jump off to save the chat because there's so many great ideas that are coming in here that we can't necessarily read out loud first. So adaptation is vastly important to the future of Rotary. So I'm very excited to see all of these action steps you as presidents-elect will be taking in your club this coming Rotary year. Let's have some final words from our District 6080 Governor-elect host, Joan Kramer.
All right, great. Thanks, Natalie. And thank you everyone for participating in this last breakout session. I have to applaud all of you. You have been so great at responding and putting your ideas in and sticking with us. We really appreciate it because you sharing all your ideas has helped everyone else. So thank you so much. We celebrate you for volunteering to be your club president in 2021-22.